Good morning, I'm Kate Richardson, and today I'd like to talk to you about the sneaky inhibitor to sustained habit change. Now, this is a really important topic that a lot of people miss when they're looking at trying to reinforce a good habit, to start, create, and reinforce a habit that might be difficult to try and get implemented into their lives. So this is really sneaky. It's sneaky for a reason. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about the two things that get in the way and then what we do about it. So number one is identify the culprit. So how do we get change to sneaky inhibitor to sustained habit change? First thing we do is we identify the culprit. And the second thing we're going to do is mitigate and build. All right, so then I'm going to tell you about what we do to change that and then how we implement these ideas. All right, so number one, imagine you are trying to give up something that you really enjoy in life, but somehow it's detrimental to your health. So for this example, I'm going to use alcohol, all right? So it doesn't have to be a small amount of alcohol. Let's say you're a heavy drinker, right? You're drinking a lot. Perhaps it's every day, perhaps it's mostly on the weekend. Either way, it's a habit that you want to change because you know that the outcome is a healthier lifestyle, right? So I'm going to bring you in a little bit here just so that you can see my diagram. So say for argument's sake, this is you in your current state, right? Your current state, let's say you are a square. A square is your current state. This represents who you are right now. These are your stories, your beliefs, and your behaviors as a heavy drinker, right? So this is how others see me and how I see myself right now. But where I want to be is over here in a future state of non-drinking. So these are my stories, beliefs, and behaviors, let's say as a new shape, as a circle. So this is me in my future state. This is how I want to be seen, myself and by others, right? So this is current state, future state. Now the situation comes to be tricky when the transformation doesn't quite happen the way that we want to. And the reason this happens is down here. All right, so this is your square. This is who you are right now, how others see me and how I see myself. And then my future state as a circle, how I wish to be seen as a non-drinker. What sits in this space is what we call transformational cognitive dissonance. And what happens is everybody sees you as a square. You want to be seen as a circle. Now suddenly your beliefs, your thoughts, your mindsets, and your behaviors are a circle, right? So you've stopped drinking, you're sitting in the bar, you've got your lemonade glass in front of you, your friends are all around you drinking their beers, wines, whatever it is. You have changed to the circle, but how they see you is still here. They still see you as a square because somehow, whether it's short-term or long-term, how you sit right here, right now, doesn't compute with them. So the group of people that are with you know you as a square, they know you as a drinker, and everything that surrounds that is you. This is unrecognizable to them. The circle is an unrecognizable shape, and this is where the problems start. So this is where we get onto our first point, the culprit. This is the problem. This is the sneaky dark side of habit change that people don't realize. It's not completing the task. It's not stopping the drinking. It's not the idea of stop drinking. It's not the doing part that gets in the way. It's the reception to the change that gets in the way. So here's our issue. People don't recognize the circle. They don't recognize the future state. Not only do they not recognize the future state, but it causes perhaps some discomfort to them because they are the squares, right? So when you become a circle, you start to create friction for them and you become an unknown, right? So who you are now is unfamiliar to them. So perhaps it makes them even feel bad. Perhaps they're resentful of the change. Perhaps it represents something that they also want themselves, but can't do yet or are not ready to change it. So it creates this friction, this cognitive dissonance. Who you said you were and now who you're being is confusing to them, right? So what happens as a result of this? What happens as a result of this cognitive dissonance? Well, perhaps you lose some friends. So two things can happen. Number one, you lose your friends and you continue to be a circle. Or number two, the worst case scenario, which is what commonly happens, you slide back into being a square, because the friction and the dissonance that it causes is uncomfortable, not just for them, but for you too. So for you to move into the circle shape without support and with all this dissonance and friction from people around you, it's very difficult for you to stay there. And so there you go, moving back into that square spot. So there is also an opportunity here. So for you to get sustained habit change, that needs to shift. And there's only two ways that's going to happen. And that is, number one, you ditch the culprit, right? These people who are keeping you a square, they have to go. Or maybe they're put to the side for a while, right? Because they are not going to have you create the habit change that you need. They are not going to see you in this space. And until they do, they cannot be in your world. They cannot help you sustain the circle. They cannot help you sustain this shape. So the opportunity is that some people in your life might actually appreciate the circle. They might support you. They might think that this is actually amazing. They think that it's amazing that you're taking on your health and that you want to change and drop the drinking. And it's something perhaps they've wanted for you for a long time. Those people are going to be people that accept the change, they accept the circle, and they may even be inspired by you to do the same thing. Perhaps there's some people who are the culprits who are going to shift and be inspired by the circle and then move into a space where they can support you. And that's a different situation. But transformation cannot happen in a vacuum. You cannot get sustained habit change for something so serious and so important to your health without having support. Now, you might have people that just go, that's great for you, that's fine. And that's good too. They're not supporting you, but they're not bringing you back to that space of being a square. They're allowing you to sit where you want to be. But what you also need is you need your champions. You need your pit crew. You need the people that will support you in this space of being a non-drinker or taking on your health, right? So the two things we need to do is we need to identify the culprits, identify what's in our way, this cognitive dissonance, this transformational cognitive dissonance, and then we need to ditch the culprits and build our pit crew. So they're the two things we do in order to combat the sneaky inhibitor to sustain habit change. Okay, because I can promise you that this has happened to most of you at least once in your life. You've gone to make a change, albeit small or big, and somebody has had cognitive dissonance around your change, created some friction, perhaps made it difficult for you, and there you've gone slipping back into being a square. The only way you can get sustained habit change is to have a pit crew around you and get rid of and ditch the culprits. It's not always about just doing it. It's not always about having the idea. It's not always about being convicted about it. It's not always about having purpose. It is about removing the roadblocks in your way and building a team to support you. All right, have a great day, guys.